What's up, y'all? Solomon here. I hope you are having a great day. In today's video, we're going over a recent game that I played on chess.com. I was playing some blitz, and I've been trying to improve my chess and trying to hit those higher levels. I've been hovering around high 23s, low 2400, elo on chess.com on the blitz segment, and all of a sudden I get paired up with the 2759 Grandmaster Nigel Short. Okay, now if you don't know anything about Nigel Short, and some of you might, I think recently he's been more known for his controversial comments, many of which I do not agree with, by the way. But he was a huge figure in the 90s when it came to chess. He was a part of a lot of historic moments. He was one of the top players in the world, a world championship candidate. And he was involved with a lot of the politics going up against FIDE, him and Kasparov teaming up together, going against FIDE. Ton of history there, ton of stuff that has happened. But all that to say, he's a very strong player, has played a bunch of games against Garry Kasparov as an example. And, Garry Kasparov is pretty good. And all of a sudden I get paired up with Nigel Short. And I'll be honest, I never thought I'd play Nigel Short. It's not like I thought about it, but yeah, I just, I'm not... When I'm playing on chess.com on my phone, I'm not assuming I'm about to play Nigel Short. All of a sudden, I'm playing Grandmaster Nigel Short. And you know what I'm doing. I'm playing the Hippo. So I play this move G3, right? Fianchetto my bishop D3. Boom. This is what I play every Hippo game, just about. Okay, sometimes I'll play B3, move 1 if I'm wanting to mix it up. But usually I go 1, 2, and 3. And in typical Nigel Short fashion, and you'll see this for the rest of the game, he just goes crazy with this 3-pawn center. Okay, now I continue with E3 and knight E2. I'm going for the hippopotamus defense setup. However, against a 3-pawn center, I go for kind of a pseudo hippo or a half hippo kind of thing. Okay, I start out with this, which so far, this is looking like a normal hippo, right? And when I'm facing a 3-pawn center on the queen side, I'm not that worried about it. I'm really not. I'm not worried about black breaking with C4, but on the king side, I am worried about F4. If you've played the hippo, if you've played the Pirts, if you played any of these kind of fianchetto-y type openings, you probably know that the F-pawn can do a ton of damage if you're not prepared for it. Okay, and the way that I kind of play against this setup is by placing the pieces as such, and then going after the D5 pawn. Now, what do I do here? What I'm planning to do is B3, C4, and knight C3 at some point. And notice, I'm not putting my knight on D2, and I'm not moving my bishop because I need this bishop to have vision on F4 just in case black ever tries to break it open. These 3 pieces are stuck here, ready to go. And once I eventually get in B3, C4, knight C3, I'm going to have 3 defenders here, and I'm going to have 3 attackers on D5. Okay. On top of that, one great way to kind of make sure that black doesn't pull off F4 at any point is by, at some point, playing D4 and distracting this pawn. Because if we take this pawn, if this pawn captures or pushes in any of those 3 scenarios, F4 is not as supported. Okay. Now Short here plays this move C6. Good move, supporting that pawn. I continue with B3, bishop D6, I castle H5. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really want him to play H5, but he did. And usually in the hippo, right, we would play H3, right, preparing for H4 with the move of G4. But because this pawn is not on F7 and it's on F5, this is simply losing for white, right? We're about to lose our pawn, H3. This is not fun. Okay, this is not fun. So after H5, I play H4. This is the computer move, right? Just putting a stop to this, right? Remember that when you're playing the hippo, if there's a pawn on F5, H3 is usually pointless. And if there's a pawn on C5, or even if this pawn is free to roam without a knight in front of it, A3 is usually pointless. Okay. The only reason I could think of any situation where it's not pointless is if you're trying to, play, let's just say this pawn's on C5 and there's a knight on C6. If you're trying to play C4, maybe you're worried about the knight jumping in, so you play A3 before that. That's really the only reason. That's for those of you that have been really studying the hippo and, been playing it at a more advanced level, trying to learn more about it. I do have a course on the hippopotamus defense. I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. I've put a lot of work into it. Hundreds have gotten the course, and many have told me that they've enjoyed it. Yeah, if you get it, I hope you do too. H5 is played. I play H4. Nigel Short here world-class player, knight g4. Okay, I mean, Nigel Short's a very aggressive player, and he's obviously looking to play g5. What I should have played here, and I missed this multiple times in the game, is f3. I thought about it, but then I thought, f3? You know what I mean? Like, let's just take a second. f3? Like, we're all taught not to move the f pawn, let alone to f3. So I kind of dismissed it. But this actually turns out to be a good move. If black runs back to f6, I can continue with my plan of either c4 or even d4. Either one of these moves chipping away at the center. If a move like knight h6, let's just say we play d4, it's not hard for black to just get a really bad position here. Let's say they take. Boom. We take back. Gaping hole on g5. g6 is also very weak. We have full control over f4. e5 is a huge weakness for black. I mean, this is just a really bad position. If you walked by the board, you would probably think that, you know, black played knight h6 after h5 and then f. It just doesn't look good. Okay, so on top of that, we're castled. So this would be a great position for white to work with. However, right, going back, I just continue with my plan of c4. Not a blunder or anything, but it's better to kick that knight out. g5 is played. Yet again, should have played f3. Obviously, if this knight goes back to f6, we take the pawn. If the knight goes back to h6, I could capture and then play f4. This is just about dead even, maybe a slight advantage to black, around a slight advantage for black if you plug it into the engine. But things get crazy here. Okay, things get crazy. So I'm going to stop it here. If you want to plug it into Stockfish, you can. For all my newer videos and from every video, you know, going forward, I'm giving PGNs to all of my Patreon supporters. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you can go to the page and see the PGNs there. But yeah, f4, I mean, stuff just gets crazy here, but it turns out to be okay for white if we play it correctly. Going back, right, if we play f3 and black takes on h4, which I wouldn't put this past Nigel Short, here the best move is taking in the knight. The only move, right, that is good for black is taking here. Even then, white has a slight edge after bishop a3, trying to trade down pieces as much as possible because we're up in development and we're being attacked. If h takes g3, this move looked a little worrying to me because the queen's coming in, but we just have knight takes. Okay, if you play queen over, we can take another pawn, right? By the way, notice that we're forking the queen and the bishop, so you're kind of going to have to take this or run all the way back to defend that bishop, which is kind of not that great for black. So the best move is taking the knight. In that case, we can capture back with our rook. Play a move like bishop a3, looking to trade down. It looks scary, but at the end of the day, if queen h2, king goes over, the bishop's doing a great job. And again, it might look scary, but black is just running out of firepower. They're running out of pieces right now. I mean, this is an attacking piece. This is an attacking piece. That's it. I wouldn't really say this is a threat to my king right now. These definitely are not. And let's be honest, this king on e8 is also not feeling that good, and it's not going to take too much for that king to get in danger either, right? But after g5, I end up taking. The best move is queen takes. I was expecting that, but we see this move of h4, in which case, yet again, okay, I should have played f3 and then f4. But anyways, yeah, instead of f3, I end up taking this pawn. And, you know, here, right, f3, f4. Going back to the earlier position, okay, if we just go one move back, two moves back. If I play f3 here, notice the knight is actually trapped. Right, so f3, f4 is actually not really necessary in this case yet, but once, you know, and by the way, if they take here, we can capture, and it looks scary again, but white is able to hold on. Going back though, right, with the game, h4, after I take here, if I play f3 and f4, you know, that's the best way to do it. f3 here, you know, seemingly traps the knight. The knight is able to jump into h2. The engine is now giving me f4, just trying to lock things up here. We are up in material. It's kind of, you know, this is one of those positions where I'm looking at this and I'm trying to explain why things are happening, how they're happening, but Stockfish is kind of just doing what it's doing, and somehow it works. So there you go. But after the move of rook takes, I instead play the move of f4, which is totally fine. I mean, I'm still okay here. After e takes, I capture back with my e pawn. Here, short captures on c4. Now, I could have taken with the d pawn, but this would be a huge blunder because of bishop c5 with check. I can block technically, but no matter where I block, you know, with the knight or the queen or with the bishop or with the rook, the bishop is simply going to capture. I'm in trouble here. I'm losing. So instead, I take back with my b pawn. Whole idea being, if check, I have d4, right? You can take all you want. I could take with the queen or with the knight. White's simply winning here. We have enough defense on that square. Hey guys, I really quickly wanted to tell you about something that we've been working on for over a year. I have partnered with Coastland Creative and we have come out with some exclusive Chess Giant merch. Okay, we got t-shirts, hoodies, tote bags, and more. And if you're interested in getting 10% off, all you got to do is go to my website, okay, and on there you'll get invited to join my email list. Join my email list and I will send you the discount code there. On top of that, if you want to get 20% instead of 10%, all you got to do is become a supporter on my Patreon. Become a patron and you will get 20% off of all Chess Giant merch in the future. Okay, I hope you guys like the designs. Let me know what you think of them down in the comment section below. Let me know any ideas that you have for future, you know, clothing ideas, design ideas, and all that kind of good stuff that we can put on the site. And yeah, let's get back to the video. So, okay, I take back with the b pawn. Obviously, short isn't going to play bishop check. He plays king f8. This surprised me a ton. I'm assuming he was a little bit worried about queen e1 attacking the rook and getting vision on the king, in which case anywhere this knight moves, it would be a discovered check. That's what I'm guessing. Let me know if you have any thoughts on why king f8 was played. I continue with d4, just, you know, really trying to, at the end of the day, just kind of get my king a little bit more safety on that diagonal. Usually in chess, we would play king h1, but as you can see, that can't happen. And, okay, I mean, queen e7, I ended up playing queen e1 and queen to g3, okay? Queen g3, really the only move here for white. That is good. Let's just say I play something like bishop a3. The threat for black is rook h1 with check. I have to take it with my bishop. That's my only move. Mate. That's it. Right? So I play queen g3. Whole idea being now if you want to check, that's fine. I can take with my bishop. My queen has eyes on h2. Short continues with bishop e6. And I understood in this position I was better. I knew I was better. I knew I was better against Nigel Short playing the hippopotamus defense. I was telling myself, Solomon, just play solid here. You have a good position. You know, and, you know, I am happy that I ended up getting a better position against Nigel Short with the hippo. That said, it didn't end great. So let's take a look at how that happened. But okay, bishop a3. Don't regret that move. I mean, just trading off the bishops, that's good. Take back with the knight to support that guy. Black here, they're running out of steam. I mean, black is running out of steam here. There's not much that black can do at the moment to really break things through. Black can play there if you want to, but I really do have these squares under lock. The knight, it's very active, but it's kind of stuck where it's at. The bishop's kind of stuck. So, okay, we see that move, knight d7. Here I end up playing d5, capturing with my c-pawn, playing knight d4. After rook h2, it's here that I missed a key opportunity, and that's playing this move of knight e6 to check. I saw this idea of rook takes g2, which we'll get in on and talk about in just a moment. But I was looking at this move of knight e6 check going, okay, I mean, that's good that the bishop can't eye d5 anymore, and if they take, I have a monstrous pawn, but I was worried about king g8. And thinking, gosh, I mean, that my knight just seems a little bit vulnerable, right, to a move like rook e8 and then capturing, and I don't know what was going through my head. I just felt like this knight here was a little bit vulnerable. But white's completely fine here. In fact, I can play knight c4, and if rook e8, jump my other knight in. I mean, look at these knights. I mean, these are some powerhouse knights here, wiping out half of the 8th rank. I don't say that very often. And yeah, I mean, if the rook wants to save itself, rook ac1, we're looking at the back rank now. Black's in trouble. Black's in trouble. Okay. But instead, I played this move, knight c4. Rook c8 is played. I ended up defending the knight, and we now have rook takes g2 with check. Now, we only have 2 moves here, okay? And king takes g2 is losing because of bishop takes d5 with check. I kind of dismissed this right off the bat because I understood if king back, I get mated. And if I block, rook takes c4. Now Nigel Short would have been up material, and he's Nigel Short. So I'm sorry. I mean, this position, if I'm down material and I'm getting attacked, it's just not going to go well. So after that move, I play this move of queen takes. Bishop takes d5 is played. I can't take this bishop. I'm up in material, but I can't take that bishop because of queen h2 checkmate. I can't move my queen up because of queen h1 checkmate. I'm in trouble, or so it seems. But there's one move here, thankfully I found it, that gives white a game here, and that is this move of g6. Okay, this is the move, trying to distract this queen from this file. I play g6, and we have this move of queen h5. Now, I didn't even get this far. Okay, I'm not going to tell you that I calculated all that I'm about to show you, because I didn't. Honestly, I was just thinking if I can get this queen off of that file, that would be great. That's as far as I looked. But it turns out after queen takes g6, I'm not sure if I would have found this. Maybe I would have. I think I could have. This move of knight e5. Beautiful move. Our queen's attacked, but we're also attacking your queen, and we're attacking your rook, and we're attacking your bishop. So much is hanging here. And yeah, I mean, if a move like bishop takes g2, taking the queen, right? We can take with check. We can take the queen. We could have took the queen first. I would probably just take the rook and then the queen, but either one works. And if a move like bishop takes, we can bring this knight to h4 or to e7. In either case, both of our knights would be attacking this pawn. This pawn is about to drop. We're already up in material. White is winning this. Okay. But after g6, we don't see takes. We see queen h5. Short going, you know what? I ain't going nowhere. I'm sticking here. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm eyeing h2. And here I played g7 check. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I think knight e5 I could have found. Here in this position, I did not find the move of knight e3. And yeah, honestly, I mean, maybe in a classical game, maybe. I don't know. Knight e3 is crazy. That's the computer move. That's the computer move. Just about a dead even game here, believe it or not. If they capture our queen, which is like the first question, right? What the heck? We take a rook. We take a pawn with check. We take a bishop. We're +1 here. At the end of the day, we have 4 knights on the board in the endgame. That's pretty rare. Now, what's the imbalance here? Well, both sides have 2 pawns. The only imbalance is the 2 rooks versus a queen. I have 2 rooks. They have a queen. That's a common kind of position, but not this. Not kings on the G file, only 2 pawns each, knights literally all over the place, like sprinkles on a cupcake or something. But it turns out white's okay. I mean, queen h2 with check. I can run. Turns out white's okay. All that said, though, I think from a practical standpoint, this is very hard to play with as white. Okay, even though Stockfish might say that white's okay, I'm going up against, I mean, first off, a queen and a knight is like the most dangerous combo in chess, right? Because you're combining 2 different types of power, right? It's not just a queen and then a rook that moves kind of like a queen, but not quite. It's a queen and a knight that move differently. There's so many beautiful combinations, smothers mate, all these different kinds of things that come about when a knight and a queen attack a king. Here, black has a queen and 2 knights. So I think this is very hard to play. The good news for white here is that the knights are actually kind of holding on to each other, and no pawns can kick them around because there's none left besides on the A and B files. But okay, going back to knight e3. If you take my queen, again, I'm going to get a rook, a pawn with check, and a piece. If a move like knight takes e3, right? If a move like knight takes e3, what do? We'll go over that in a moment. If rook takes c1, I am able to capture off that bishop, and it turns out that I'm okay, right? With knight takes d5, dead even game there. If the knight captures, I take with check and play a move like queen e2. Somehow, white's not getting mated here. Somehow we're okay. We are defending h2, and we're also defending these squares as well. The only safe check that black has right now is queen h1. We run, right? I mean, if you want to check us again, we run. Okay, if you take our rook, now your king is in danger, right? We throw in a check. We take a pawn with check. This is mate in 15 for white. This is one of the craziest positions I've ever seen in my life. I'm dead serious. I mean, this is just actually crazy. It looks like it's out of a puzzle book or something. But that's how complicated this game was in a blitz time control, which probably explains partly why so many mistakes were made from both sides. But of course, I play classical and make mistakes too. But you get the point. Queen h5. I missed that knight e3 move. I played g7 with check. Okay. And yeah, just desperation here. I take back with my knight. I'm just trying to get this queen off, guys. That's what I'm trying to do, right? I take with check. Black here captures with the queen. It turns out that king h7 or king h8 is the best move for black here, which again is just crazy. But after queen takes, again, I missed this idea of knight e3. Okay. Could I have found the other knight e3 in a game? I'm not sure. Even in classical, I'm not sure if I would have found that. Probably not. Maybe. I don't want to put limits on myself, but that was just absolutely crazy. And even then, the position's very hard to play. Here, I do think knight e3 is findable. Okay, but with the current time control, you know, I didn't find it. The idea here is that we're actually forking the queen, the bishop, and the knight, and we're attacking the rook. If you take our queen, we take with check. We can snatch off that bishop. If we trade off, we get this kind of position, rook c7. Turns out, if you plug it into Stockfish, we actually snatch off these two pawns. This pawn runs off to the races. Black has a king and two knights. They're able to win that pawn outright, and then we just have a dead draw. So this position would have been a dead draw. I played queen b2 a check. A knight blocks. I knew I was losing here. I played knight d6. Short goes, you know what, take my rook, I don't care. Here I resign the game. If I take the rook or really do anything, I get mated on h1. And yeah, I mean, there's just not much I can do to stop the mate, guys. There's just not much. I mean, I could block with a rook or with a queen or something, but that's just dumb because then I'm down material against Nigel Short. I could have played knight f5. Again, I just dismissed this because it's like, well, if he wants to, he can take and he's just winning. But, you know, even after king f7, which is the computer move, this is what Stockfish would play as black. You know, Stockfish, they're like, we're just trying to mate you as fast as we can. We don't really care if you're giving us free pieces. Our knight's under attack. The computer move here is queen f2, and obviously that's not great for white. So overall, again, after that final move, you know, of queen h5, I ended up resigning. Not here, right? But this is kind of when things got crazy. When the queen went back to h5, that's when I resigned. And yeah, I mean, that move of h1 is just unstoppable. Overall, I felt pretty okay about the game. I had a better position against Nigel Short with the Hippo, which I was proud about. At the same time, it's like, dang, I had some opportunities, and that would have been a crazy win. But made a mistake, and that was it. Let me know what you thought of the game down below. Yeah, let me know what you thought of it. Crazy game, crazy position. And the hippopotamus defense, I mean, 9 out of 10 games I get with the Hippo. I get my full thick-skinned Hippo setup, wheeze honk, you name it. But sometimes, when you're playing against a 3-pawn center and then they start throwing an H-pawn down at you and they throw the knight in there and they go crazy, then it becomes one of those games where the defensive player feels pressure to not get mated and the offensive player feels pressure to mate, or else they're busted because they're giving up material, and positionally they're playing very weak, quote unquote, because they're not really caring about the weaknesses they're making. They're just trying to mate you. So overall, I thought it was an interesting game. Again, let me know what you thought of it down below, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace. Hey, thanks for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon community for the month of May in 2024. I appreciate y'all a ton, and yeah, I mean, if you haven't thought about becoming a Patreon supporter for this channel before, I highly recommend that you go and check out some of the benefits that you gain by becoming a member, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.